Last week I started a new series on God's promises, and I made the point that He never breaks His promises. I also provided much evidence to show that the promises of God are contained in a totally reliable and accurate book, namely the Bible. If you missed this message, the link is appearing below now. This week I want to shed light on the conditions under which we humans can totally rely on God's promises. But let me first share with you a verse in the Bible that clearly states that for God, a promise is a promise. This is Joshua 23 verse 14. You know with all your heart and soul that not one of all the good promises the Lord your God gave you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not one has failed. It comes from a conversation Moses is having with Joshua, his faithful lieutenant, who is shortly to take over leadership of the Israelites because Moses is about to go to the Lord. This is an encouragement to Joshua to give him confidence to step up into the leadership of the fledgling nation of Israel. Fledgling it may have been, but this was not reflected in numbers because it's estimated that Moses led around 2 million people out of Egypt, so I guess Joshua needed all the encouragement he could get. Now, reading the book of Joshua, there is one central characteristic of Joshua that is blatantly obvious. He loved God and was totally obedient to his direction. This is confirmed in many of his actions throughout the Exodus from Egypt and the entry to the Promised Land. It's also reinforced in his statement shortly before his death to the Israelites, whom he knew were prone to following the various gods of the nations surrounding them. In Joshua 24 verse 15, Joshua is recorded as saying, "If serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Not surprisingly, this last sentence has become a popular statement contained on Christian household plaques. The point I'm making here is that Moses could remind Joshua that God had been totally faithful in delivering his promises to Joshua because Joshua was his man. This point is reinforced in an earlier verse from the Old Testament which states, "The Lord is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commands." And that's in Deuteronomy 7 verse 9. The term covenant means promise. And note the conditions required for God to keep his promises, namely that the promise receivers be, as the verse puts it, those who love him and keep his commands. It's very clear then that God's unfailing promises are for his people, his disciples if you like, and we can all become his disciples when we accept that the word of God in the Bible is true. Acknowledging that Jesus, Son of God, sacrificed himself on the cross in our place, acknowledging and repenting of our previous shortcomings, and putting Jesus center stage in our lives. If you value the peace that comes from knowing that in your life, God will always keep his promises, and all his promises are good, then why not give your life to him today? And if you've already done that, don't waver. Stand fast on his promises to you, for your future is bright.